Hello, friends. Our story today will be about issues we're all too familiar with. Many people are disappointed with how the public services work. Insanely long queues, red tape, and if you ever need some sort of certificate from a hospital, getting it is a real quest. And don't get me started on social services that are supposed to take care of low-income families and homeless people. But nevertheless, there are still people who yearn for change and they're willing to work for it. Thus, a pleasant exception to the above-mentioned state of affairs was the mayor of Cuauhtémoc, Chihuahua. He decided to personally check how the city's social services worked, since he was getting numerous complaints from the residents of his city. Meanwhile, his employees assured the mayor that they were doing a good job and there were no problems. Unsure about whom to believe, his colleagues and deputies at work, or the citizens of his city, Carlos Tena decided to do something very unconventional. One day, the mayor transformed from an honorable person into an unknown homeless man, and he even decided to use a wheelchair to make sure that no one would recognize him. To complete the look, he changed his hair and pretended to be blind, having put on dark sunglasses. And so began the long and thorny path of the newly minted homeless man. First of all, he visited the Department of Social Development to get food assistance, which he was eligible for under the state program. Imagine his shock when none of the employees offered to help him fill out all the necessary paperwork. The workers were lazy and disrespectful, Carlos said later. Only one kind woman decided to treat me to a jelly, for which I am very grateful, he added with a laugh. Then he went to the city hall and asked for a meeting with the head of the city. But yet another disappointment awaited Carlos there. The elevator for people with disabilities was closed, but at least it wasn't broken. And the administration staff had to look for the keys for a very long time. Meanwhile, they didn't even bother to hide their resentment and unwillingness to fulfill the request of the homeless person, who wanted to talk to the mayor. Poor Carlos had to wait for several hours on the street, and a while later, he was offered a meeting with the secretary instead of the mayor. The most interesting part was that no one even called me up to tell me that someone was there to see me. At this point, Tena decided to end his experiment and left the city hall as a homeless man. I was outraged by the behavior of my staff. They all got a salary from the state, but they treated citizens so badly. I told them everything later at a meeting, reminded them of the common truths and rules of conduct, as well as informing them that such behavior would no longer be tolerated, Carlos said in an interview with the main channel of the city. They were shocked to learn that it was me in the wheelchair, the mayor added. But Carlos didn't stop there. He decided to fire all his deputies who fed him false information. They were responsible for making the lives of citizens better, but instead, they only made their lives unnecessarily complicated. He also initiated a project where young and creative people with an active lifestyle and a desire to make the city better would be recruited to work as civil servants. He intends to carry out a complete change of staff, and he also added that this wouldn't be his last experiment. He's got a lot of ideas on other ways to inspect the city. Therefore, I'd like to let every civil servant know that one fine day I could come and check on them too. Thus, I hope that from now on they will really work for the benefit of the people. After hearing of this incident, citizens started respecting their mayor even more. He had already changed many things around the city for the better, but after his experiment, many citizens were sure they'd vote for him again. Friends, what do you think about the mayor's idea? Let us know in the comments. We hope you enjoyed this episode. See you later.